Are you ready to begin?
I'm ready. Hi guys, my name is Dipo Ayajosi and welcome to Heart of the Matter Plus.
And my name is Omotayo.
Okay, oh, so cute. Omotayo. Nothing else.
I'm cute.
Anyways, we're talking about a bunch of different things that have happened lately, right?
Yes.
So many interesting, news that's making the rounds now.
Yep.
So, as something you wanted to introduce first.
Oh, wow. So on social media, a few weeks ago, about a month ago actually, a lady who co-owns the Social Prefect tours. Her name is Chiamaka Obuekwe. I hope I got that right. She got married in January. And a few months later, she was announcing her separation from her husband.
Oh, wow.
And she mentioned, actually, let me just pull that up so that I can read exactly what she said, so that we make sure, we're not misquoting her. Yeah. So she basically said, "I'm a queen and I am worth it. I am beautiful and not overweight." She alludes to the fact that her husband did not value her and is free to date all the slim and pretty girls now. She said how she has broken loose from needy validation and depression. She separated herself from her last name and basically was saying that, she's only looking to Jesus and to her business. She mentioned, obviously, worrying that people would leave her business, but she's not even worried about that because her own personal self-esteem and her own happiness and peace are more important than looking for the validation of her husband or other people, because I think what she's alluding to is that her husband has been cheating on her
with slim and pretty
girls because she feels like she is.
But in any case, why would businesses leave her though?
Well, maybe just because there's the scandal of separation and divorce, there's a stigma that's attached to it. And so sometimes if you've had endorsements, the brands want to separate themselves from it. Similar to what happened with the Toke Makinwa and Maje Aida situation. They both were in danger of losing endorsements
and deals and things like that. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much embedded in
this.
There's like cheating and like hearing a little bit of like weight issues and some maybe insecurity issues. And
definitely the place where she then says, she has no family and friends now except Jesus. And basically she's saying how she's getting her validation from Jesus now. It kind of mixes the message because on the one hand, there's the fact that she's leaving her husband. There's the fact that she's saying he didn't treat her right. But then there's also the fact that she has this view of herself she says, "I will not be worried about dressing up because I am fat and unattractive to a man." She said, "I started gymming because of a man, not anymore." So that definitely comes to the place where a woman starts to define her identity by how she expects a man to view her, as opposed to her seeing herself. Because I've seen her, she's beautiful. She's actually a beautiful girl. But she had this complex.
And my other thing about it is this, we're talking about this earlier. I think that if a man's going to cheat, he's going to cheat regardless, and it brings to mind again many other issues where you have two women and then one, a guy is married to one woman and then leaves and, checks up and everybody's blaming the woman. And I'm like, no, it's actually the guy because nobody can steal you. Nobody can take your man. You cannot take somebody if they don't want to be taken. So it's like, that brings to mind becomes to mind when this issue comes up.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, if we're going to talk about cheating, is that cheating is not an issue of somebody else's inadequacies. So a man doesn't cheat or a woman doesn't cheat, as the case may be, because the other person is not attractive enough or because the other person isn't good enough. Cheating and every other similar indiscretion comes from within the person.
Definitely.
It's the person's insecurities, it's the person's need for validation. I mean, people have said several times that men cheat because they're already getting something at home, they want something more exciting outside, or, whatever variation of that.
A little side snack.
But, come on now. But the thing about that is that the only reason why you need to go outside to get something is because you couldn't get it from within yourself in the first place.
True. Yeah. And also, I mean, talking about she says, I'm going to stop gymming for a man. She actually calls herself,
fat and unattractive.
unattractive. Okay. And you see, I think that it's one thing to say that someone's cheating on me and someone stepped out of the marriage to find something, whatever it is that they're looking for. It's another thing to say, I think that it's because I'm a certain way. So you must first believe that you are a certain way. And that's the reason why you're being cheated on. And I think that in itself is a problem. You know, I think she probably has to deal with some of these sort of security issues.
So for me, it's like looking at her and the fact that she's actually a beautiful woman and she's actually hardworking and she has everything going for herself from the outside. The only thing that was then left to bug her was the way she looked. And I realized that a lot of women have this body dysmorphic syndrome where you see yourself as a certain way that is different from the way you should see yourself. I have friends who are big and confident and beautiful, and they don't, even if they do deal with some insecurity issues, it doesn't affect the way they carry themselves because they're able to find their identity. And ultimately, we realize that looking at the man who's cheating and looking at the woman who's feeling hurt, there were, especially in this story, there are cases of insecurity on both sides. And the real solution to that really is to find your identity in Christ, because if looking for external validation doesn't help. It doesn't help
at all. And I always say this thing to people. I don't think that there is actually any such thing as anybody being ugly per se. And the reason why I say it is because it's just the same way in character. There's going to be your strengths and your weaknesses. Some people are very kind, but not very patient. Some people are very what other kind of fruits do we have? Some people are gentle, but they might not be generous. So there's always one thing that's exceeding and another that's lacking. And in the same way, you look at physical attributes. You know, someone has very gorgeous eyes, but an interesting nose, or it can have like the nicest lips, but you know. That's what I'm talking about.
I think our noses are a bit interesting.
But yes, we have interesting noses. Now. But someone could have flawless skin naturally, but then might not have the best, you know, specific features like in the eyes or whatever. There's always something about you that's the extraordinary, that's the exceeding, that's so nice, that's so pretty. But then there's always going to be the one thing that you feel like, oh, it could be better, or you prefer on someone else. I've just learned that you need to understand and learn to live with the fact that we can't just
live with it. We need to identify those things that we see as weaknesses, and then also realize that the Bible says that, you know, your weaknesses are strong in Christ. So it's like we have that balance of things we don't like, but the human nature tends to hone in on the things that we don't like,
and make it look like
it's the only thing that there is. But the truth is that in this beautiful woman's story, she's clearly hardworking. She's beautiful. She's done a lot of things and gotten a lot of things right for herself, but I feel like she's now on this journey to discovering who she truly is. It's just unfortunate that she has to go through this bump of this
in order to
get there
herself. Anyways, all right. I think we have kind of tried to piece this apart, and I think most of all, because she's the kind of figure that she is publicly, I think there's a lot, because automatically I think there's a lot of people who shy away when you become famous for whatever reason. You automatically are put on a platform, a pedestal, and I think it can be hard because people want to shy away from that. I say, yes, don't add on anything extra that brings unnecessary attention, but you cannot take away from the fact that you actually are that public figure you are. And so for that reason, I think there's a lot of things that we need to make sure we say right, we put out right, so that people who are watching can understand. In this situation, I think about younger girls and how they might view this. Anyways, let's not talk about that too much. We have a lot more to talk about. Stay with us. This is Heart of the Matter Plus. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Heart of the Matter Plus. I'm Omotayo, and we have been discussing the social prefect tour's owner, her marriage, and we basically concluded on the fact that in a situation like that, both sides have issues that they need to deal with, and we're very happy that she's taking this time out to discover who she is in Christ, even though we do recognize the challenge with putting this out on social media.
Yes, it can be
bit
quite controversial. Well, yes, so now we are moving on, speaking about marriages. One of the most exciting marriages that happened recently is the Markle Sparkle.
The Markle Sparkle. I love that.
If you can't really think, because apparently I think there's like a little code thing for each of the royal marriages.
Oh, really?
So I think her one is the
Markle Sparkle.
Yeah,
Oh, you didn't make that up.
I no, I heard it during that time. I wish I did. I really wish I did. But yes, I mean, everybody watched that. It was so exciting to watch. I think I watched it like 15 times and saw like a million and one updates. No, seriously, it was on repeat in my house.
Right.
And I pretty much know probably all the little fun facts about the wedding.
But what about it stood out for you? Like, as you, what did you like about it?
You know what, I think it was just, and I put this out on my Instagram about how this wedding and the marriage in itself, because the wedding is just a day, right? The marriage is the long time thing, is such an important thing for us culturally and across the world stage. And right now it looks like it's only pertinent to that side of the world, the western part of the world, people in England, but actually it will cut across the rest of the world, and it's very relevant because of the union of these two unlikely people and how in love we see that they are.
For me, I think you couldn't shake the fact that they kept looking into each other's eyes and smiling. It was like their love. Everybody wanted to fall in love
and the little
with
like
them.
mouthings and
those
things
little
that
moments,
really
and you know when he was like, "Oh, you look amazing," and everybody's just like, "Oh," and all our hearts were melting. But speaking of what you said about how relevant this is.
Yes.
In the world, a couple of people spoke up about it on social media as well and said how there's so much about her story that should have disqualified her from being a princess.
Yes.
I mean, a real life princess.
A real life princess. It's not like Disney.
Yeah. There was a meme
princess.
actually that went through the story of I think it was Cinderella, and put pictures from Cinderella and put clips from their wedding, and it was so beautiful.
Same thing.
It was gorgeous, the carriage ride.
I know.
But in the middle of it,
are you wishing for something?
Well, one can hope, one can dream, but there's so much about it. And then, even though everybody was so happy about their love,
yes.
Nigerians had
some Nigerians we shall come for you.
They have to.
Some Nigerians. But yeah, people talked about all kinds of different things. Someone talked about the budget. A lot of people talked about her dress. I think those were the two most.
They talked about her makeup,
her hair. You know, because she went super natural, and I think that's pretty much just the kind of girl she is.
Yeah.
She's just a very, I can't come and kill myself, no fuss kind of. And that's what she really went for on her wedding day. Because I think for her, maybe it was symbolic to start off that way and show people that this is why I'm up front.
Right.
So that 5 years down the line, you're not looking for something different. So you're not, you know, taken aback when you don't see me without, you know, without makeup.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, from a style perspective, I have a few things that I could say about the dress.
1 or 2, 30 seconds, go.
Snatch. I said snitch. It wasn't 30 seconds you gave me. Snatch. That's what I have to say. That's my own. That's the only thing I'd say. Snatch. Should have been a little. I thought that fabric was very sophisticated. You know, even when they did the pictures up close, you saw how beautiful it was. But I just thought that the fitting could have been a bit more. Just like that.
Especially on the back of hearing that Oprah Winfrey's dress was then made for her within 24 hours. You're a bit like.
They could have done
They could have called the tailor.
Meghan.
Hey.
You can't call her Meghan.
You can't know. Duchess Meghan of Sussex.
Sorry. So sorry, ma'am. But yeah. I mean, but talking about the reason why this was such an unlikely union. Yes. What are the things that she's
older than him. She's American. Oh my God, the British, don't they kind of do not like Americans?
A little bit?
A little bit? Just a touch. She's mixed race. Her mom is black. Her mom is divorced. She is divorced.
What? Generational divorce?
She's an actress.
I know.
Even in Nigeria, if you go home and you say you want to marry an actress, it's a bit like...
This one that used to kiss
Oh,
in
that
public.
I mean...
Other men. Just
somebody mentioned that
men.
people... I mean, her husband has seen her
just now
kiss another man.
Lisp.
On TV.
Another guy. And it was even at their wedding. The guy that she...
Well, so was his ex. So, it's kind of equal.
You know, it's okay, balance.
But the thing is that, as unlikely as the story is, it makes it a real-life fairy tale.
Yes.
Because regardless of all the things that should have disqualified her, she was the chosen one. And it kind of... that's good.
Chosen one.
But it kind of gives us this picture of the redemptive love of God. Because a lot of us have things that disqualify us from the world. I mean, we're talking about somebody who's struggling with her marriage right now. Yes. And then, so people have gone through these struggles, and people sometimes feel like they would never get a happy ending. And people feel like, you know, they've done too much. So much has disqualified them from love. But then God's grace doesn't need anyone's permission.
It's just that come as you are.
When he's ready for you, you will receive that happy ending.
And I will say this. I mean, for me, it was such, and I think, you know, it holds something a bit different for people who knew her as an actress, actually, before. Because if you didn't know as an actress, you just, you know, you're just feeling the factor of the fact that she's not English or that, you know. But when you know her as an actress, like, I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, it's 1 minute you're watching, and I'm still watching the last season of Suits, and then the next thing she's like waving, and then you're like, what? Like,
so she learned the royal way,
you know,
and she smiles.
And she's like, you can't really reconcile it, but that's pretty much what it is with God. It's like one moment you're just some regular Joe, and the next moment you're like, my goodness, like, we have to call assistant now. So
you know, you have to call an assistant.
Funny enough, there was a thing about how recently I read a little story about how one of her best friends, who was a makeup artist and actually did her makeup on her wedding day, had said, you know, like, what do we call you now? And he was, you know, looking, and she was like, oh, just call me Meg. Still Meg. I'm still Meg.
Meghan. Markle Sparkle.
Markle Sparkle. But yes, I mean, these things do happen. All of a sudden, you're taken to a position, and everybody is just like, what happened?
Where did you come from? What grace is. And honestly, that is the promise that God keeps giving in the Bible, is that regardless of what it is that you have gone through, the moment he's ready for you, people will be like, come. Didn't I just see Omotayo the other day and it's like, yes, it's now Princess Omotayo.
Well, I guess Omotayo is trying to tell you what she needs in that life.
But can we talk about the friend who hooked her up?
Ooh.
There was a friend.
There was a friend?
Who knew a prince.
There was a friend?
There was a friend.
Huh.
It was her friend who said to her,
What are you now doing now?
Let me hook you up.
What are you now doing now?
I'm sorry, I'm the hookie.
You're not the hooker?
I'm not the hooker.
Who is the hooker?
I need a friend who can just look upon me and say to you, I have a prince for you.
That friend has to have a number of different things.
I call forth
a good eye, grace, wisdom. Because do you know what she could have said to Prince Harry for Prince Harry to be like, ooh, no problem.
But imagine if she had said no. It could have been me.
Wow.
Could have been me. Could have been
I'm
playing. But no, we just really love that story for the power that it has to show the redemptive grace of God. Yeah. And we do believe that, I mean, she's American and she is a feminist. She speaks up for women's rights.
Yes.
There's all these things to her beyond just her being an actress and a divorcee. But now she's the Duchess.
She's the Duchess
of Sussex.
Anyways, I guess it's time for another break. This is still Heart of Matter Plus. We have so much more in store for you, and we'll be right back. Don't change the channel.
Welcome back to Heart of the Matter Plus. We have been talking a lot.
Yes, a lot about social Prefect talks about. Started with that. Talks about the Markle Sparkle.
The royal wedding.
Your wedding. And now we're talking about another really relevant. I think this is probably the one that sort of, you know, from the royal wedding took over social media, and it was it happened right seamlessly right into the other. So from the royal wedding, we seamlessly move on to the Linda Ikeji story.
The Linda Ikeji movement.
Yes, the movement.
So Linda Ikeji came out literally immediately after the royal wedding and revealed her baby bump. And the internet was agog. She literally, she stole, she killed, she overpowered, she smashed the internet
from
the
Meghan.
Markle sparkle. And the thing about it is, she then came out to talk about, because she's always been an advocate for celibacy.
Yes.
So for her to come out, and we have not yet seen her wedding on Linda Ikeji blog.
Not that we have.
No. And so, what's going on here?
What's this?
How can you have a baby bump?
What do you mean?
Without a wedding.
What's that? So basically, apparently, it's reported that she has a baby. She's having a baby for her fiance.
Yeah.
But she, like you said, she was an advocate for celibacy. So a lot of people now, there's a lot of backlash and controversy about, how can you in one statement be about wait till you get married, and then now you yourself are pregnant. And then I think what even escalated it was her response to the backlash, which was that, I think it was something about...
She kind of backtracked. She said she never said, she said
if you find
when you find someone you love. But then obviously the issue with that, especially, first of all, from the Christian perspective, but even from that perspective is how do you, on the one hand, say, don't do it. Then on the other hand, say, oh, because you fell in love, then you give yourself a loophole to hide behind.
Then do it.
But what was interesting was that, she because she's a role model, so to speak, or she's seen as a role model. Everybody starts to say, what does this mean? Does this mean we're agreeing that it's okay to get pregnant before marriage?
Or even to have double standards, to say one thing one moment, and then if you happen to just find yourself in a complicated situation, switch to the other side.
Yeah, and that... First of all, I think I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she pointed out one basic thing. She said, do not abdicate your responsibility as a parent or as an individual to someone else. So don't say because someone showed you something wrong, that's your excuse for doing it. You hold yourself accountable for your own moral standards. So it's not about what is Linda doing or what is Linda not doing. She has her own life. What should you be doing? And if our values are so fickle that they change based on what other people are doing, then we will never really stand for anything in the first place.
It means we have a huge problem on our hands.
Already.
And in addition to that, I saw another post where, we're talking about, someone had addressed the issue and talked about discipline and was advising other people out there and saying, look, if you say that we are going by the standards of, how you fall in love, someone could be in love 7 times between the first time they meet, so when they get married. So does that mean that you're then having,
Literally, you end up having serial sexual partners, which is the issue in the first place.
Yes. So, it really doesn't answer the question. If you're talking about the sort of moral aspect of things, I don't think that might be the way to go. But even delving a little bit further into this, and maybe a little bit of a segue, talking about the church's stance on this, we're talking earlier about how people then view dealing with when somebody gets pregnant outside of wedlock, and somehow it seems like the church might be at this moment condoning more of the abortion.
It's almost like the church doesn't want to deal with it if they can't see it. So people end up having abortions when they get pregnant and not knowing what to do. So they just kill the baby, which is worse, really, for in the eye of God, than keeping the pregnancy. And the thing is that we spend a lot of time saying what we should not have done, or she should not have, and that's fine. But we all sin. We have all sinned. After you now sin.
Well, you have now done it.
Well, you have now done it, and it's there. Someone made a very good point and said we should be happy that she kept the baby and did not abort the baby, which is really powerful, because I know people who have had abortions and they deal with that guilt for the rest of their lives of a life that was killed. But the thing is, this double standard, how do we then address it? Because then people then said, if you then say congratulations, it means that you are condoning it. However, do you not congratulate a new mother who needs your support, who needs your love?
Wow. It's such a dicey, it's like this. It's like this. You don't know what to do.
Because the truth is, the way Jesus shows us love is when we have sinned, he says, I've already taken care of it, come back to me. He doesn't push us away. But we try to think that it is by pushing people away that we can show them that what they've done is wrong. Someone pointed out that if Linda is a Christian, or if anybody else dealing with being pregnant outside of marriage is Christian, they're already dealing with the guilt of it.
Exactly.
Between them and God, they're already being convicted.
Suffering.
They're already suffering. Their parents, families, friends who are going to shun them. It's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, what might be best to do is to really explain in love the situation. So on one hand, definitely congratulate, because at the end of the day, it's a new life that's coming in, and a child is a gift.
Yes.
So it's good to congratulate, but at the same time, if the process through which the child came wasn't the most wholesome or the best plan, you know, based on God's instructions, then, you know, it's good to let the person know that, well, this has happened. Wasn't the best, but, you know, learn from that and you know, move on and
also,
support.
ultimately, it's better to have a baby than an abortion.
Better
I think the
to have
church
a
just
baby.
needs to be united on that. It's better to have a baby than an abortion. Which kind of leads us to a little bit of controversial things. That on the one hand, we're trying to talk about what's best to do when you've gone pregnant out of wedlock. But what do you do with someone who's been divorced who wants to get married again?
No!
I mean, we're also grateful for Meghan Markle and the redemption.
Yes, the redemptive
but it's also
love.
something that we don't want to talk about. The fact that
I think the issues are very. I mean, first, let's state this first of all.
Yes.
That God explicitly in the Bible it is written that He hates divorce.
Yes.
However, I think that situations differ. I recently got to know of someone who was saying that, you know, she would step outside of her house and, you know, no one's pointing a gun at her, but then she's at home and she's getting a gun
in her
pointed,
face.
you know, and it's a really scary thought.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to advise a woman who's getting a gun pointed, you know, at her face to stay. So in that sense, what I would say to that is, if you happen to have been in an extenuatingly, what's the word now?
difficult.
I don't know if that's a word. A really, really bad situation, and you found yourself in a situation of divorce. It doesn't mean that the Lord now hates you. It doesn't mean that God hates you now.
Exactly.
All it means is that, you know, you just need to get back to God and find out what His plan is now.
Exactly. It's an opportunity for redemption because, again, God hates divorce, so we don't want that to happen. But God also hates lying.
Yes.
God also hates stealing.
Yes.
But when we still do those things, God still has a redemptive plan for after.
Yes.
And He can do a lot with a person who surrenders themselves back to Him.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. I felt like there's so much.
There's so much more.
There's so much more we had to say on these issues, but you know, obviously the issues are out there, so you can keep commenting. Also on our social media page, HOTM Plus, you can also go there and comment on these issues, and of course, keep a conversation going. Until next time, my name is Dikwa Ayo Adeosi.
My name is Omotayo.
And we'll see you. Have a blessed week.